Good evening, everyone. We'll call our October 3rd regular meeting to order. The notice requirements provided for in the Open Publics Meeting Act have been satisfied. Notice this meeting was properly given in a new schedule of meetings of the Spotswood Borough Council on December 28, 2015. The new schedule was transmitted to the Home News Tribune and Sentinel, filed with the Clerk of the Borough of Spotswood, and posted in the municipal building located at 77 Summerhill Road, Spotswood, New Jersey. We'll rise for a salute to the flag and a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Councilman Seeley?
Here.
Councilwoman Rhodes?
Here.
Councilman Ritchie?
Here.
Councilman Service?
Here.
Council President Stolen?
Here.
Mayor Policino?
And the mayor is on vacation with his family.
Okay, we have minutes. I have added to the agenda, it's not on there, but we'll be also adopting our caucus minutes. And you received both of them by email because we're not going to make hard copies any longer.
Good for you.
Okay, so the September 19, 2016 caucus meeting.
Make a motion, we accept those minutes?
Second.
Councilman Seeley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rhodes?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Service?
Abstain.
Council President Stolen?
Yes.
And we have the minutes for September 19, 2016 regular meeting.
Make a motion, we accept those minutes.
Second?
Councilman Seeley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rhodes?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Service?
Abstain.
Council President Stolen?
Yes.
We have an ordinance on first reading. Ordinance number 2016-13. The public hearing is set for October 17th. An ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Spotswood by amending Chapter 199, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Traffic Regulations, Section 199-15, entitled Route for Trucks Over 8 Tons Gross Weight, Schedule 5, entitled Routes for Trucks Over 8 Tons Gross Weight, by adding 199-15A, entitled Trucks Registered 4 Tons Gross Weight or Over, and Section 199-17, Stop Intersections designated Schedule 7, entitled Stop Intersections, and 199-21, entitled No U-Turn, No Left Turns, adding No Right Turn on Schedule 13B.
I move we pass this ordinance on first reading, set a public hearing for October 17th, and advertise it according to law.
Second?
Councilman Seeley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rhodes?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Service?
Yes.
Council President Stolen?
Yes.
We have resolutions under consent agenda. They're laid out on the table. Council members and Council President, I'll take a motion to accept resolutions 2016-152 through 2016-157.
Make a motion to adopt Resolution 2016-152 through 2016-157.
Second.
Councilman Seeley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rhodes?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Service?
Yes.
Council President Stolen?
Yes.
We have a proclamation.
Yes. Ed's going to read that.
It's a long one. Borough of Spotswood Mayor's Proclamation. 2016, don't wait, check the date. Replace smoke alarms every 10 years. Whereas the Borough of Spotswood, New Jersey is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting Spotswood. And whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are where people are the greatest risk from fire. And whereas U.S. fire departments responded to 369,500 home fires in 2014, according to the National Fire Protection Association, NAFA. And whereas U.S. home fires resulted in 2,745 civilian deaths in 2014, representing the majority, 84%, of all U.S. fire deaths. Whereas in 1/5 of all homes with smoke alarms and smoke alarms are not working, whereas 3 out of 5 home fires result from fires in properties without smoke alarms, 38%, or with no working smoke alarms, 21%. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half, and whereas many Americans don't know how old the smoke alarms in their homes are, or how often they need to be replaced, and whereas all smoke alarms should be replaced at least once every 10 years, and whereas the age of a smoke alarm can be determined by the date of its manufacture, which is marked on the back of a smoke alarm. Whereas Spotswood's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries throughout prevention and protection education, and whereas the Borough of Spotswood residents are responsive to public education measures and are able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. And whereas the 2016 Fire Prevention Week theme, "Don't wait, check the date, replace smoke alarms every 10 years," effectively serves to educate the public about the vital importance of replacing the smoke alarms in their homes at least every 10 years, and to determine the age of their smoke alarms by checking the date of manufacture on the back of these alarms. Therefore, I, Nicholas Policino, Mayor of the Borough of Spotswood, do hereby proclaim October 9th through 15th, 2016, as Fire Prevention Week throughout this city. I urge all people in Spotswood to find out how old the smoke alarms in their homes are, to replace them if they're more than 10 years old, and to participate in the many public safety activities and efforts of the Spotswood Fire and Emergency Services during Fire Prevention Week 2016, dated October 3rd, 2016. Signed, Mayor Nicholas Policino. And that is a true statement. Far too many people just look at it, or they'll take it down because it's making too much noise while they're cooking, or they'll turn it off, they forget to put it back on, and that's when the accident happens.
Or when you start a fire in the fireplace and you forget to open the flue so that the smoke goes out and it comes into your house and it sets off all the alarms for about an hour. That happened.
That's happened to a great many people.
Happened to me this week.
Okay, you're on the list.
Yeah.
Well, it's such an inexpensive way to be able to allow you to sleep soundly, knowing that there's some mechanism that's monitoring your house while you're asleep and unknowing what's going on. So it's, and I know, I think, Marge, you can mention it, at the Office on Aging, they're even having, John Cossack is coming and doing a speech, and I believe if you attend, you can even get a free smoke alarm.
Free smoke carbon monoxide detector, 1 per family while supplies last, and funding is provided by the Older Americans Act.
Yeah.
I was going to say, being that the heating season is coming, carbon monoxide, I'm sure Jose will agree, it's a good idea to get your
Deadly.
carbon monoxide detector. If you don't have one, get one.
Absolutely. Things can go in your chimney like squirrels.
You too, Chief.
Whatever. Okay. Comments. Ted, anything for caucus? I mean, regular meeting?
No.
No. Ed?
Nothing to say.
Nothing? Schweitzer's celebrated their 75th anniversary, and we had a resolution for that at our last meeting. I attended their event. I know Ed was there, and Dawn, you were there, and found out some pretty interesting things about Schweitzer's. We all go past the building, and yet there's so little we know about it. That property was originally the Perrine Farm, and that's a name that we have all heard in town. National Lead originally picked it up. They didn't do anything with it, and eventually Peter Schweitzer picked it up, who was the owner and formed the Schweitzer Company, which is now Schweitzer Modui. That plant opened in 1941, and originally they were employing 1,800 employees. Everything
Wow.
being done, a lot of handwork and individual machines they were using. It was built in our area because of the water that was available. We have great well water. They were pumping like 1.5 million gallons a day for their process. And something I didn't know, we all thought paper's made from trees. Well, now farmers in Canada are growing flaxseed. They harvest the seeds, they take the stems and the plants, they bale them up and ship them here to Spotswood. They grind up those, the remains of the flax plant. They bleach it, grind it up until it's the consistency of toothpaste. And then they spread it out, roll it out, dry it, and it ends up being half the weight of printer paper, only 12-pound weight, so it's fairly thin paper that they make out of it. At one time, early on, they had patented a process with a machine that actually used the scraps of tobacco manufacture. They used the stems and parts of the plant that didn't make it into the tobacco itself. They processed it, and they were able to use it, combining it with regular tobacco, and use it in cigarettes. And that was such a profitable, patented machine that it actually made Kimberly-Clark, which had bought Schweitzer's at one point, the company that it is today. And last note, Peter Schweitzer owned a farm in Colts Neck. And when it was sold, Bruce Springsteen bought it. And that was some of the things we learned. They had a lot of old newspaper clippings hanging up, and it was really interesting. It was a great day. It was for their employees, and they had a very nice picnic for the employees.
So Bruce Springsteen's tied to Spotswood.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yep, there you go.
Some roundabout way.
Yeah.
Roundabout way. Okay, Marge, anything?
Yeah, I had talked about the flu shots that Walgreens was giving with the help of St. Peter's down at the Cup Food Pantry and at the Wednesday Food Kitchen, and we actually gave out 45 flu shots, approximately 45 flu shots. Flu shots are being offered again in the Senior Center by Rite Aid, and the date is in here. In this flu and pneumonia. Okay, so Rite Aid. So Wednesday, November 2nd, from 1 to 3. See Beth for registration. So it's a flu and pneumonia shot clinic. And here at the municipal building, for all employees of the municipality, free flu shots. Spotswood Senior Center will provide transportation here from the senior center. Free influenza vaccine for clients with Medicare Part B, so it's really not free. It's being paid for by Medicare, and $15 for all others. And the fee for the pneumonia vaccine is high. It's a very expensive vaccine. That's $65, and it will be offered to residents age 65 and older who have a chronic illness and those who have never received the vaccine. So just know that the flu is really the only way to protect yourself from getting the flu shot. So it's a good thing to get as a healthcare provider. I see the effects of that all the time, and 80% of the people and more who die from flu are 65 and older. So I would recommend everyone to get that flu shot. They do recommend it for everybody 6 months and older. It is a good thing to get. The other thing is I went to the school, and actually I was there with Dolce. We recognized Jose just left to answer a call, but he actually did training with the CERT volunteers, so this is emergency response teachers and staff from the public schools who he trained. Jackie was there. She actually took a picture of those people that were involved with that program. He gave out neat bags with helmets and lights, and so it made them feel official, and they all got certificates, which really was nice to recognize those people who stepped up to get trained in case of an emergency. And we see these emergencies almost on a weekly basis in the nation and internationally of things that can happen. Fire, terroristic attack, earthquake, tsunami, hurricane.
Train crashes.
You name it. So it's good to have people who are trained in emergency response living in the community that can assist our professionals when an emergency occurs. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Marge. Leo?
Nothing.
No?
No report.
Welcome back, Leo.
Thank you.
Dawn?
Just a few items. Trunk or Treat is scheduled for October 31st again this year, 6:30 to 8:30 at the high school. It's sponsored by Spotswood Rec and Spotswood PTA. Also, if nobody's noticed the nixles or the advertising in the newspaper, we're doing hydrant flushing right now in the utility department. They're working in the area of Manalapan Road, Immaculate Conception to the Helmetta border right now. We'll continue to send out nixles to remind everyone. Also, an update on Reeder Road Park. The old fence has been removed, a new one's been installed. The old playground equipment has been removed, and the new one is on order. We're hoping to have delivery next week. Also, the trees that were hazardous and falling down have been taken down, and the basketball court has been removed, and we're awaiting award of a contract for a contractor to do the basketball court.
Very good.
Last but not least, PSE&G, I had reported last meeting, the drainage issue at 258 Manalapan Road. I was able to work with PSE&G and the county to get October 3rd scheduled for the gas main relocation. Unfortunately, I found out late this afternoon, after I drove past and noticed no work was being done, that it was delayed until October 6th. Unfortunately, the county can't begin the drainage pipe work until the gas main is relocated. That's it.
All of these things, we certainly would like to see done quicker, but this, relatively speaking, with the county addressing this, since it was brought up, is actually moving along at a pretty good pace. So
Yes.
it was nice that they're definitely going to address that. Okay, entertain a motion to open to the public.
Motion to open to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Open public portion, any comments or questions? We just ask you come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Good evening, Dulce.
Just looking for an education, because you never hear things and I get curious, so I guess it's really for our lawyer. The whole acting mayor thing, nothing against you. Can you explain how that works? Like, where does the mayor need to go, or how incapacitated does he need to be before he appoints an acting mayor in this government form?
Actually, we've been told if he's within telephone reach within the country, he doesn't have to, but if he goes outside the country, then he has to. I don't know if you want to add anything to that?
Well, in all honesty, the power is with the mayor to make that decision.
So there's nothing written down?
Best interest of the municipality. It's broad and purposely vague because you can't deal with every circumstance.
So he has the power to just appoint and not appoint whenever he so chooses?
Based on a cause, like tonight is clearly a cause.
No, I understand. It's purely educational.
Yeah.
And
Good question, Dulce. I didn't know that.
who is eligible to be appointed?
Well, he appoints the borough administrator in his absence.
So would it always be the borough administrator?
Correct.
I know it cannot be a council person because we're on the other side of the two phases of governing, so.
And how long can an acting mayor have power?
There is no specific limitation on that.
So if he wins the lottery and chooses to take a year-long cruise on the Queen Mary, he can appoint our business administrator for a year?
The council would have the authority to challenge.
They would challenge, but that would be legally okay. Correct? Is that what you said?
The hardest thing to do as an attorney is to deal with hypotheticals. All I can tell you is what the law is. The law is that...
But that's what I'm asking. The law has no time limit.
Correct.
So he could, if he so chose or wanted to, just because.
That would
Not that
be-
I'm saying he would, just because he wanted to.
Well, that would, again, be up to the council. I mean, checks and balances would be up to the
Obviously,
council.
somebody in the council, I
To
would
consider
hope,
that to be an
would
abuse.
say something.
Right.
Okay.
You know, the citizens would.
Yes. And again, purely educational, not against you, Dawn. I'm just wondering about the conflict of interest of the business administrator, who already has a lot of power, also then being the acting mayor. So in essence, doesn't she sign both lines now?
Well, that's not a conflict of interest. She's in the same office and does the work of the mayor, so that's not a
But
conflict of
don't,
interest.
like,
Well, she's appointed by the mayor.
Yeah.
okay, but wouldn't there be a check and balance there? Like,
Well, that's the
so if
council's.
she checks him, he checks her. If it's just her, she checks herself?
I mean, really, you're asking hypotheticals, as our attorney said, but normally, I
Looking
have
for an
not seen
education.
an acting mayor been more than like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
I'm not saying anything is wrong. This is truly just an education. You know, I sit at home, I watch TV, I see something on TV, I Wikipedia. Okay, so it's really just education. So, but she checks, like the business administrator checks the mayor checks the business administrator, makes sure everybody's on the same page. But if the business administrator has both hats, then who checks that hat? Take Dawn and Nick out of it, make it Mary and Joe.
Well, I mean, we've had instances over the past couple of years with the mayor's illness where he has not been able to be reached. And when the business administrator has something that needs to be decided, she reaches out to me. And after she reaches out to me, I reach out to my colleagues, and we provide a consensus of a decision that she needs. If it's something that she would ask the mayor, but if it's something of a legal nature, then, that's not something we deal with. But if it's something that has to be decided on a local matter that's for an elected official, if he's not available, then they reach out to the council.
Okay. And I would take it, since there is no time limit that you could be an acting mayor, there is no limit on how many times you can give that power away either. So he could, whomever, Mayor Nancy could appoint an acting mayor every other week if they so chose.
But we understand it.
Yep.
So despite the fact that we elect the mayor, we don't choose the mayor. Got it. Thank you.
Come on.
Good evening,
guys.
Jackie.
Come on. Jackie Palmer, 9 Shupin Street. You do know it's written in your code, and I'm going to read it to you.
Fine.
It is 2-26 acting mayor. It reads, as provided by the charter, the mayor shall designate the business administrator, any other department head, or the borough clerk to act as mayor whenever the mayor shall be prevented by absence from the borough, disability, or other cause from attending the duties of his office. During such time, the person so designated by the mayor shall possess all rights, powers, and duties of the mayor. Whenever the mayor shall have been unable to attend to the duties of his office for a period of 60 consecutive days, for any of the above stated reason, an acting mayor shall be appointed by the council, who shall succeed to all rights, powers, and duties of the mayor, and then the acting mayor. I'm a little disappointed,
Well, I don't
because
have
I
a
pulled that
smartphone.
up in about 30
I
seconds
know,
online.
we didn't get smartphones, so.
Well, I find that hard to believe too, because a lot of them, people have them.
I know.
But anyway, there's the answer to you, Dulcie. You're welcome.
No, only the mayors.
So I do have a question. I have a question on 2016-154.
Sure.
On that resolution to amend the handbook, can you tell me what happened that it was necessary that we had to adjust that? Like, was there some kind of...
There is a best practices guideline check sheet that the state puts out, and this is one of the items that we did not meet what they were asking for. And Dawn, I'll let you go through the details of it. If you-
You are allowed to cure any questions between now and the submission of it to the state. I can read it to you if you like. Just give me a second. There's 30 questions.
So, just so I'm understanding, we have a handbook, an employee handbook. Is that included in all of our contracts, that which supersedes which? Like, is it our contracts with all of our union employees that supersedes the handbook, or does the handbook supersede the contracts?
They sort of work hand in hand with most issues,
The
but
contract supersedes. When the contract is silent, the employee handbook
Okay.
takes over.
And so do we have to, so our employee handbook gets submitted to the state for review,
no.
to the county?
Labor Council.
Okay, so I guess I'm trying to understand, if nobody's watching, you just said that we had something didn't jive with what's required by the state, but nobody's watching
The
us.
state is asking us, do you have this policy in place?
Okay.
And we did not. And for best practices, they want that in place. Some of the things were
But we
like,
did have a policy on it in place. We're removing about employment. See, I guess my question is this, right? My question really is, why would we, as employers, right, why would we want to limit? Most people don't work multiple jobs because they want to. They work multiple jobs because they have to pay their bills. They have to support their family. So I guess in the wording that I'm reading here, why don't we have capable department heads to manage their own departments? Like, why would the business administrator have to have the information? Why would it then have to go to our labor attorney, which we'd have to pay to review the fact that somebody's working, at Macy's for Christmas because they have to make their Christmas bills?
If we have a full-time employee and we are providing them the greatest part of their income and we are relying on them for their services, we have every right to make sure if they do something outside of our employ, since we are their major source of employment, that there is no conflict.
Sure.
And this just puts in wording that it gets to be reviewed by the department head, that there is no conflict. We're not
No,
looking
it
to...
doesn't say just the department head, it says also the business administrator.
Right,
I wouldn't
well-
say anything if it was just the department head, because what we're doing is yet again, taking away, why do we have department heads in place if the business administrator has all these hats?
She's the
And it goes back
personnel.
to Dulcie too, that Dawn is wearing every hat in this whole organization at this point. I give you all the kudos in the world. I know you don't think so, but I really do. And you
Thank
can
you.
ask anybody. I give you the best kudos because I don't know how you do it. But she wears every hat in this organization, and that's not fair. That's not fair to her, and that's not fair to the
Top personnel
taxpayers.
administrator for all personnel.
But my question is, it says that it would have to go, and the other question I have is, if somebody has a letter on file that they have alternate, why now are we requiring them to submit it again in 30 days? They should be grandfathered if they already have a letter saying that I work for Macy's, part-time.
Dawn, I'll leave that to you, if you can answer that.
Unfortunately, the personnel files in the administration office were not what they were supposed to be, what they should be, when I came on board in January 2013. And slowly but surely, I have been building them so that there is a personnel file, an official personnel file, on every employee in the borough in the administration office.
So if they already have a letter on file, why are you requiring them to have a letter again?
I don't have any letters on file because we never had this policy before.
That's interesting.
Do you want me to read the best practices statement and
My
question?
question is, so we're not governed by any, the state does not say you have to have this. They're saying there's best practices. So what I'm asking is, again, we're a small, tiny municipality, and we are going to make our employees, our full-time employees who may have to work part-time jobs in order to pay their bills, we're going to make it more difficult for them. And Dawn and the labor attorney is, instead of their own boss saying, you know what, yeah, I understand, it's now going to a higher level, and we're going to have to, and they have to ask permission to be able to go and do, I understand a conflict of interest, right? So we'll take the police officers for that matter. You don't want them moonlighting somewhere, right? You don't want them doing that job somewhere else. I get that. But you're talking like, let's say an EMT. Though our EMTs are part-time. They're per diem. They have to be, they all have to work multiple jobs. They can't afford to live on what we pay them. So what, is this just full-time employees? So it doesn't have anything to do with the per diems?
No.
And how many full-time employees does this affect within our?
Approximately 52.
So we have 52 full-time
Approximately.
employees.
I'm going
And
off the top of my head right now.
That's fine. I don't need exact. I'll pull it up in the code if it should be there
It's
for you
not the
later.
code.
I know.
You'd have to look in the budget.
I know, I read it.
Budget and the audit, you can look.
Jackie, we're not
Perfect.
looking to make it difficult for anyone to make a living, but we just want to protect the taxpayers, that they're getting what they pay for, and there's no conflict of interest for the job that we're paying them to do.
Sure, and I think we should protect the taxpayers from the labor attorney having to review every single person's letter if they want to go somewhere, because I'm sure he charges us. And I'm sure Ms. McDonald has a million other issues to deal with within this borough, like water issues, with the hydrant flushing, and Crescent Avenue that has the potholes, and the lake that needs to be dredged, and all those issues. So this, to me, is like almost nitpicky and not nice as an employer. I mean, I know as a manager, I wouldn't do that to my employees. And why not give our department heads, why don't they have that jurisdiction to make that? Why does it have to fall on the business administrator?
Can I just jump in? The labor attorney is only brought in extenuating circumstances, if there's something that the division or department head can't rule on, or I'm not sure of. I will tell you, 99 chances out of 100, I am going to take the division head or the department head's recommendation, because they know their division or their department better than I do.
Of course. But that's why I'm questioning the way it's worded here. Because if I were your employee and I read this, I would be really disappointed in how I read it. Any employee who engages in outside employment shall complete a written statement to their department or division head and business administrator for review and recommendation. So what, if I wanted to go to Macy's and I got an $8 an hour job in Macy's, I'd have to submit a letter to you, and if you
No.
decided that that wasn't something you wanted me to do, you
No.
could say no?
We're making it easier, and we're developing a form that can be filled out in a matter of probably 2 minutes. And the division head and the department head sign off on it first.
And the
When it comes to
statement
me,
may
it's
also be
basically
reviewed
going
by
in
the
the
Borough
personnel
Labor
file.
Attorney or Borough Labor Council.
Only in extenuating circumstances.
Well, that doesn't say that here.
Okay.
It says that it'll be reviewed. I'm just telling you what it reads. And that's
Leaves
why
it
things,
open for us to be able to be flexible on how we administer it. If there's issues that it escalated to that point, it's available for us to use. That's what it's there for.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Jackie, I work for an employer. I work for Waste Management, one of the largest employers around. I have to go through 4 channels if I want to do another job. 4 channels before it's approved. And if in any way, shape, or form it conflicts with waste, I can't do it. Now, I may not like it, but my choice is get another job. That's their rules. Every place has checks and balances. The place you're working for may not have. God bless them. But most places do. They want to know where you're working and why you're working and make sure it's not a conflict, and that's the only issue here.
my question is not about whether or not we ask people to tell us where they're working. I know for a fact
But I see
that
the
the
question is, why do
information
we have
has
so many
been
people check?
provided. I know that. I know for a fact that that information has been provided.
What's the issue?
So the question is, why is it that we're making people redo it, and we're putting the labor attorney and the business administrator? Why isn't it the department head?
Well, she just got done telling you this is department head first.
And there's no policy right now. There's nothing signed by the division or department head right now.
Were the employees required to provide a letter?
No.
No one.
Not
Never.
to my knowledge. I know the police department has them check with Chief Zarrow. I don't know if he asked them in writing, but I can tell you no other department has that process.
What if they're an additional volunteer for another organization within this borough?
That's not a job.
But they don't need your permission to do that?
Not that I'm aware of.
It's interesting. I guess
says
rules
in
are
the
just
old
made up
one,
for some
Jackie,
people.
Any
I guess
employees
that's how it goes.
who hold an interest in or is employed by any business doing business with the borough must submit a written notice of these outside interests to the business administrator. So that's written into the prior policy. But I guess nobody was doing business with the business who was doing business with the borough.
Right.
I think. Easy for me to say, right?
I mean, for those of us representing the taxpayers, I don't think the taxpayers have a problem with this, and that's what we're representing.
I'd just like to address one more thing before you get up there, Dean. Sure. Before, when the council president answered the question about the mayor, the acting mayor, he was speaking from him, not from the rest of the council. I can tell you for sure that I knew exactly what you read because I've checked the Faulkner Act 1,000 times. And I know there are several people that can be appointed, but in most cases, it's always the BA because the BA works soundly for the mayor. She does not work for us. She works for the mayor. Pat works for us.
I was just answering those.
I understand that. No, I understand that, but I'm just letting you know that people do know.
You guys put that in where no one other council member can speak, only just the
Well, that's the way it's supposed to work.
president. So maybe you should have spoke up and said, I do know the answer. Can I just jump in on that? Like Dawn has, can I jump in on the question? You should have jumped in on it and answered it.
Okay,
All right.
let's move on.
Dean, welcome.
Dean Slaker, 68 Elcott. I'm just reading this traffic stuff.
Dean, where do you get these T-shirts?
Atlantic City Boardwalk. They have one of those shops that has all the crazy shirts in it
good
and
one.
stuff.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I get them for $3. I'm reading this thing that we're putting up the like the no right turn signs and stuff. Is there any reason why we've never put any at the traffic light by Wheat Street? we only have one that comes up. As far as I can tell, there's only one that when you come up the Voe, there's a sign there during certain hours you can't make a right on red. But coming both directions on Main Street, they can make a right on red anytime. And they can also make a right on red onto the Voe.
Right.
And I notice a lot of times that, like the crossing guards, it makes it kind of difficult for the crossing guards with the kids there. You get this crowd of kids on a corner, and here's some idiot that doesn't want to wait, and they're in a hurry to get to school or wherever, and they'll cut that right. And is there any reason why we've never considered putting no turn on red signs on that particular intersection?
It's a
I
county
noticed that we
road.
have one on Summerhill Road.
It's a county road. I
Over
don't,
It's a
here, we
county
have a
road.
sign that says no turn on red.
Yeah, I noticed on Summerhill Road we
Signs
have
don't
one.
match the school anymore, so.
Yeah.
outdated.
Well, that was going to be my next question. I noted, that was another thing I noticed. Now that the school hours have changed,
Yeah, it was never updated.
are we on the hook to replace these signs or have them redone and put the proper times on them
I would
to
yes, I would
accommodate the
imagine.
crossing guards, to make it
Well,
safer
we
for
are-
them to
we are
cross?
responsible for that, yeah.
You are responsible for that.
Yeah, we're responsible for
Because
that.
I know, I'd also noticed the one at Appleby School where it comes out and it tells people no left turn. It has certain hours. Well, now the crossing guard stands there and goes, well, the sign clearly states after 3 o'clock they can, so people are yelling at her and the poor girl's standing there going, okay, you're following the rules. She kind of steps aside and says, okay, everybody, wait, yeah, go ahead and make your left turn.
Good point, Dean. Dawn's writing it all down, and we'll get it addressed.
You know, I just happened to notice that this year coming in, and maybe it's because my wife's a crossing guard now. I
There you
started
go.
noticing more about what they're dealing with at the different intersections, and it's really is crazy to have no, you know, not that, you know, at Main Street, a no turn on red sign would do phenomenal for the crossing guards. So I don't know how Dawn or Marcia would feel about it, but I would strongly recommend maybe meeting with them and asking them. How they would feel, and maybe if spots would be willing to put a sign up. I mean, I know it's a county road, so I don't know if we can. But I've been watching this year, and I tell you what, man, some of these, nothing against the ladies that pick up the kids.
Oh, when they're on a mission,
But
don't get in their way.
they're on a
Let's
mission.
not be sexist.
You better get out of their way,
I
because they're
didn't
going to
say,
take
I
you
didn't
down.
say gender. When they're on a mission.
Holy cow.
Yep.
And,
Any
you know,
parent.
Yeah, I mean, any parent coming in with these big SUVs and, you know, I mean, you can't get upset with them because they're in a hurry, they want to get to the school, they want to get the kids, but at the same time, these poor crossing guards are trying to step out and these cars are making a right on red.
And now you're in their shoes, and you can see what they're dealing with. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been hearing it, but you know, now you know.
I am in their shoes now, and I tell you what,
Somewhat.
man, it gets scary out there.
Yeah.
All right, and there was something else, and now I can't remember it. Well, if I remember it, I'll come back up before the meeting's over.
Okay.
Thank you
Dean.
very much.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else tonight? Seeing no one?
I have one more question.
Sure.
Can you, and we may have talked about this already, but can you refresh my memory on the EMS building? And did we ever receive any insurance money when we lost that building in Irene?
We did receive insurance money. We did not receive FEMA money yet. We've received FEMA promises, which continually change. And we have been told that FEMA will make lots of promises to make sure you do it right, do it the way we're saying to do it.
Right.
And then when the bean counters come in, they'll find issues and try every way possible not to pay you. So we've heard that too.
So we did receive the insurance money?
Yes.
And how much was that? approximately?
Including all the contents of the building, it's in the neighborhood of $500,000.
And we have that in an interest-bearing account, I hope?
No, was the down payment on the bond done in 2012,
The bond for?
the rehabilitation of the EMS building.
Yeah, we had done a
Taken
bond.
5 years to redo, or 4 years to do this, why?
Well, you can ask the mayor, but he's not here, but the council is moving on it at one.
Shocking, move ahead, she's the acting mayor, ask away.
We've had difficulties moving it forward. The council's ready to move. The mayor wanted to find a new location. And that was an honorable idea. Let's get it out of that area. And we tried Schweitzer's, and that delayed us probably 2 years waiting for an answer. and we didn't get the answer that we could use. So we've moved ahead as quickly as we could to put it out to bid.
And so now the potential is that come the end of January, when our building's not built, we're not going to have any FEMA money because they're going to pull it.
Well, that's why the bids are opening on the 5th, and then we hope to act.
October.
October 5th, and we hope to...
The bids open October 5th?
October
And then
5th.
close on what, November?
No.
Or- Oh, they've already bid, so we're going
Bid.
to choose.
Yes, we're going to find out what the numbers are, and then a meeting after that, we can deal with what we find in the bids.
And do we think that we'll have that completed by the time FEMA has given us a deadline?
As long as we start before,
I've received promising feedback from our FEMA rep, from the state police, that if the project is out to bid and awarded, it would be favorable for an extension. But there are no guarantees with FEMA. I have advised council and the mayor of that from the beginning.
How many extensions have we had a request so far?
Probably 3.
3.
They're about 18 months each.
and how
What
much?
is the dollar amount that FEMA is
Yeah, that's what I was-
proposing that we will get?
275?
235.
235?
And we don't have any idea as to what the cost is going to be until we get the bids back.
No.
We'd rather give the real numbers when they come in.
But we don't have any sort of estimate from
Well, I mean,
anybody.
back in 2012, the bond was done for 1.3 million?
1.3.
1.3. And in that amount of time, 300,000 has been spent?
Yes. A little more than that, actually, on rent for the warehouse
Which we
and
did
architects
get-
and engineers.
And we did get some of the rent back from insurance as well.
We did. No, from FEMA.
From FEMA already?
Yeah, we
Okay.
got $47,000 back from FEMA to reimburse us for the lease. I wrote that project.
Right.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, just a clarification on the bond. You took the bond for the building already,
Yes,
and you did a down payment?
yes,
So we have that money,
yes.
and we're paying interest on that money?
No,
It's a bond.
only what's been spent.
We only draw it when we're ready to use it.
Oh, okay. Okay. What was the interest on that bond?
I don't
It was
know.
low.
Most of them we do bands, they're 10 years, and it's usually around 2%, sometimes lower.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dulce.
I knew it would click eventually. Lee Slaker. I see contract negotiating shared services. Is that by any chance concerning the EMS? Are we
No.
going into negotiations for anything at this point?
Not EMS related.
No?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Dean.
Motion to close the public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a closed session.
Get your flu shots.
Even presidential candidates.
All right, whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231 PL 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the Borough of Spotswood, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey as follows. The public shall be excluded from discussion of any action upon the hereinafter specified subject matters. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Contract negotiations / shared services. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter shall be made public when confidentiality is no longer required. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
Make a motion, we pass the resolution?
Second.
Councilman Seeley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rhodes?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Service?
Yes.
Council President Stolen?
Yes. Thank you all for coming out. There will be no action taken after our close. Thank you.